Willow sinks to Drew's level to get her kids back. Plus, Britt shocks everyone when she walks into General Hospital. Britt wakes up on a plane sitting next to Jason. Now that she's awake, Jason wants answers about Croatia. Britt claims she was working on a research project on cold fusion. Jason knows she's not telling him everything, and asks who she was working for. She claims she doesn't know, as she only reported to Pascal. Jason doesn't believe her and warns her about Jack Brennan, who will hound her for answers, given the WSB's interest in the lab. As they continue to chat, and she makes it clear she wants nothing from him, he points out that he has experience jumping back into life after being dead. He says there are legal issues she'll have to deal with, and she must face people who thought she was dead and missed her. He also tells Britt that whatever she's hiding, she doesn't have to hide it from him. Trina stops by her mom's office to ask if Drew is the only one who had evidence on what she did. Trina explains she's worried and wants to help her mom, but Portia just wants her to stay out of this. Trina worries that Drew could still expose her secrets. Portia doesn't know what will happen, but she refuses to live in fear, and if things come out, she'll deal with the consequences. Trina is glad to hear that, and they embrace. What does Carly want from Drew? Carly shows up to see Drew and badgers Liz for his room number. Lucas stops his sister and asks how many people know she threatened to kill Drew. Carly realizes she has Liz to thank for this, and Liz swears Lucas is the only one she told. Carly would like nothing more than never to see Drew's face again, but he's here in hopes that Drew will listen to her. In Drew's room, Willow tells him that she's relieved he's going to be okay and asks if he remembers who shot him. He doesn't. Willow tells him, strangely enough, that he has Tracy to thank for finding him and calling 911. She saved his life. He says he's alive because of his own strength, which comes from wanting to be with her and their kids. Liz talks to Lucas in the halls and warns him that it's only a matter of time before Drew tells the police she witnessed Carly threaten him. Lucas hopes whoever shot Drew gets away with it, as Drew brought this on himself. Back in Drew's room, Carly shows up and says she guesses the rumors are true and Willow is back with the jerk. Carly gets right to the point. Scout left Lila's kids and went to the QS again, so Carly asks if Scout can stay with them. Drew says no, and Scout is better off with Willow. Carly asks if he could put his daughter first for once. Drew suggests she worry about her own kid, as he expects Michael to be arrested soon. Carly says he knows Michael didn't shoot him, and he's only accusing Michael so Willow will get Wiley and Amelia back. Carly points out the long list of people who want him dead. He throws out the fact that she threatened him, so maybe she shot him in the back. Carly tells Drew he's beyond hope, and so is Willow. She storms out. Does Curtis have an alibi? Curtis arrives to speak with Anna, with Martin as his counsel. They discuss Curtis falling out with Drew over Aurora, as well as Curtis accusing Drew of using his power to get his aunt investigated. Anna asks if he can account for his whereabouts when Drew was shot. Curtis says he dropped his aunt off at home around 8:30 p.m. and then spoke with Alexis around 9:15 p.m. He then went to his office at the Savoy to decompress, but nobody saw him. He later met Jordan for drinks, from 10 p.m. until midnight, and then returned home. Anna reveals he was alone at the Savoy when Drew was shot, so this puts him at the top of the suspect list. Will Dante buy Michael's story? Dante shows up at Jacinda's room at the Metro Court with questions. She invites him in, and Michael walks out of the bathroom shirtless. Michael dresses, and Dante says this happens to be a coincidence, as Michael just named Jacinda as his alibi for Drew's shooting. Jacinda is happy to answer any questions Dante has. She gives Dante a statement that she ran into Michael the other night at the Port Charles Grill, and then they came back here. Michael left around 10:30 p.m. Jacinda leaves to shower, giving Dante and Michael time alone. Dante wastes no time in telling Michael he doesn't believe he randomly hopped into bed with Jacinda, but instead, he paid her to be his alibi. Dante asks Michael to tell him the truth. Was he with Jacinda when Drew was shot? What advice does Nina give Lulu? Nina shows up to see Lulu at her place and explains that Jack Brennan tried to recruit her to convince her to let Charlotte see Valentine. Nina makes it clear she would never undermine her relationship with Charlotte, and she doesn't condone Brennan's tactics, but she should let Charlotte consider visiting her dad. Nina warns that Brennan will find a way to reach Charlotte and tell her about her father, which will lead to Charlotte resenting her mother. Nina suggests that she take charge and use this situation to her advantage, becoming Charlotte's hero by allowing her to see Valentine. She can even set the limits and request to attend the meeting. What's happened to Rocco now? At the Baden Cafe, Albrecht runs into Rocco, Charlotte, and Outback. They chit-chat, and Albrecht goes to place her order. Rocco then asks Charlotte not to tell their mom about this, as she doesn't like that he has questions about Britt. Charlotte promises to keep quiet and understands where he's coming from. She doesn't bring up her dad, as it clearly makes their mom uneasy. Albrecht brings food over and tells them to eat up, as Rocco is too skinny. Suddenly, Outback breaks free and rushes out of the cafe, bleeding from the head, as he ran into a tree branch. Charlotte is still looking for Outback, and Albrecht says his cut is nasty and he's going to need stitches. Rocco has to call his mom and tell her what happened, and that Dr. O wants him to go to the hospital to get stitches. Lulu says she'll meet him at the hospital. Back at Lulu's, she asks Nina to come with her, as she may need a buffer between her and Albrecht. Lulu then calls Dante, interrupting his discussion with Michael about Jacinda. Dante, Lulu, and Nina arrive at the hospital where Albrecht is with Rocco. Rocco insists he's okay, but Charlotte hasn't found Outback yet. Albrecht is surprised to see Nina. Nina explains she was with Lulu when the call came in. Lucas calls for Rocco, and the boy heads in to be stitched up. Dante and Lulu thank Albrecht for taking care of their son. Curtis stops by Portia's office to inform her about being questioned by Anna. He is a prime suspect with no alibi, but the good news is, Portia's name didn't come up. Portia hates that he's getting caught in this fallout. Curtis notes there is something she can do for him. Back in Jacinda's room, she asks Michael if his brother believed their story. Michael says he didn't, but he still must report her statement. He thanks her for her help. She says it helps her too, as if anyone knows she came back to blackmail Drew, she could be a suspect as well. Carly shows up at Anna's office to let her know before she finds out from someone else that she threatened to shoot Drew. However, she was with Jack Brennan that night. Anna knows, but also knows Jack is a skilled liar. In Drew's room, he tells Willow that though he doesn't know who shot him, it plays in their favor for Michael to go down for it. He also teases that traumatic memories sometimes come flooding back at any moment. In the show's final moments, Curtis tells Portia that if people find out Drew ruined their marriage, it won't look good for him. Until an arrest is made, they need to act as if they still have a strong marriage. At the hotel, Jacinda asks Michael what if Dante keeps digging. She suggests he tell her about any telltale scars he has, just to make their story seem real. Willow tells Drew that if Michael didn't shoot him, whoever did could try again. Drew is willing to risk that, and when Michael is convicted, their family will be whole again. He knows she doesn't approve. Willow cuts him off and is willing to do anything to get her kids back. At the PCPD, Anna tells Carly that she doesn't trust Jack and that she needs to be careful with him. Carly says they have an understanding, and Jack would never lie to her. That's when Jason walks in. Finally, Britt returns to General Hospital. She walks through the front doors, and Liz is stunned to see her and blurts out, "Oh my God, Britt?" Everyone else, Dante, Nina, Albrecht, and Lulu turn around and see Britt. Lulu gasps, "We thought you were," Britt says, "dead?" Believe it or not, the soap world is buzzing today with a double shocker that fans never saw coming. On one side, Willow Tate Corinthos has stunned Port Charles by sinking to Drew Kane's level in a desperate attempt to secure her children's future. On the other, jaws dropped when Britt Westbourne, long thought to be gone forever, walked through the doors of General Hospital in a scene that immediately sent shockwaves across the canvas. This is the kind of storyline twist that makes soap fans drop everything, grab their popcorn, and hold their breath. So, let's break down exactly what happened, why Willow's actions may destroy her carefully constructed reputation, and how Britt's return flips the hospital upside down. Willow's breaking point, from pure-hearted heroine to calculating survivor. 4 years, Willow has been portrayed as one of the most selfless characters on General Hospital. A woman who carried the scars of her past with dignity, She became the heart of the Corinthos clan after her marriage to Michael. Her fight with leukemia, her dedication to Wiley, and her willingness to sacrifice herself painted her as the picture-perfect heroine. But the cracks have been forming. When Drew Kane was exposed for betraying Michael with Willow in a shocking act of disloyalty, it tainted the family dynamics beyond repair. Carly's fury, Michael's disillusionment, and the overall chaos left Willow stranded in a moral gray zone. For once, she wasn't the victim, she was complicit. And today's shocking turn proves she's not above playing dirty if it means keeping her family intact. The custody threat. What pushed Willow over the edge? Word in Port Charles is that Nina Reeves, newly aligned with unexpected allies, has been subtly maneuvering herself into a position to gain more influence over Wiley. Nina, fresh from her complicated battles with Sunny and Ava, may not have direct custody rights, but she's been circling like a hawk. And let's not forget Ava, who has been whispering in Nina's ear, encouraging her to go after what she wants most, a stronger role in Wiley's life. For Willow, the thought of losing Wiley and Amelia isn't just terrifying, it's unthinkable. And rather than rise above the fray, she has chosen to sink to Drew's level. Drew's level, what does that mean? To understand the weight of this accusation, you need to look at Drew Kane's trajectory in recent months. Once a noble Navy SEAL and dedicated family man, Drew has slowly slipped into murkier waters. His betrayal with Willow, his shady partnership deals, and his willingness to manipulate situations for personal gain have chipped away at his former hero image. Fans have been calling him Carly Light, someone who operates in secrets and shadows, but without Carly's finesse. Now, Willow has taken a page straight out of his book. Willow's scheme: pulling strings, playing dirty. Reports from set insiders and teasers confirm that Willow has begun using her position as a nurse to quietly gather leverage on her opponents. Whispered conversations in the halls of General Hospital suggest she's willing to exploit confidential information, cross ethical lines, and even team up with unlikely allies to build her case for permanent custody. Could she be working with Diane Miller, Port Charles's sharpest attorney, behind Michael's back? Or worse, has she started manipulating Nina's vulnerabilities, perhaps dangling forgiveness in exchange for keeping her distance from Wiley? Either way, Willow is no longer the woman who would sacrifice everything for her principles. Today, she's the woman willing to sacrifice her principles to keep everything she loves. Fan reactions, from shock to outrage. Social media lit up the moment the spoilers dropped. Willow is supposed to be better than this. If she's turning into Drew 2.0, Michael better watch his back, one fan posted. Finally, Willow is interesting. She's been a saint for too long. Let her play dirty. Nina deserves it, countered another. Poor Wiley. That kid has the most toxic adults fighting over him non-stop, lamented another viewer. The reaction is a mixed bag, but one thing is clear. Willow is no longer the unshakable saint of Port Charles. She's human. She's flawed. And she's ready to fight. The other bombshell. Britt Westbourne walks back into General Hospital. If Willow's descent into Drew's world wasn't shocking enough, the real jaw-dropper came when Britt Westbourne strolled into General Hospital as if she never left. Fans remember Britt's heartbreaking farewell when she succumbed to Huntington's disease and orchestrated her exit in a blaze of bittersweet glory. Her death was mourned, her absence deeply felt, especially by characters like Liesl Obrecht and Brad Cooper. So how is she alive? Britt's return, what we know. Insider leaks suggest Britt's death may not have been what it seemed. In true soap fashion, a mysterious medical program overseas could have been working on experimental treatments for Huntington's. Whether orchestrated by Victor Cassadine before his demise or secretly funded by Liesl, Britt's disappearance may have been a cover for her chance at survival. When she walked into the hospital, reports say the reaction was electric. Liesl fainted on the spot, overwhelmed by shock and joy. Brad screamed and burst into tears, rushing into her arms. Even Maxie Jones, who had grown close to Britt, was left wondered about a Britt-Jason Morgan reunion. The possibilities just skyrocketed. The ripple effect of Britt's return. Britt doesn't just return as another doctor in Port Charles. She returns with unfinished business. Liesl's redemption arc. Liesl can finally be happy again after losing so much. But will her role in covering up Britt's absence be exposed? Hospital power shifts. Britt was chief of staff once before. Could she reclaim that role, clashing with Elizabeth or even Finn? Romantic fallout. Jason Morgan, still reeling from Carly's chaos and Ava's manipulations, could find himself pulled back into Britt's orbit. Victor's legacy. If Britt's survival is tied to Cassidy's secrets, her presence could unravel a dozen plots left behind by the late villain. Britt's comeback doesn't just stir emotions, it reshapes storylines. 2 women, 2 transformations. The irony isn't lost on fans. Willow, once the picture of purity, is now embracing manipulation to protect her children. Britt, once the bitch who schemed and lied, is walking back in as a symbol of resilience and hope. It's a powerful narrative flip. Willow descends into the gray, while Britt ascends into the light. And as both women's stories collide at General Hospital, Port Charles is in for a seismic shift. What's next for Willow and Britt? Willow. Her schemes may give her the upper hand now, but history proves that every secret comes out in Port Charles. Michael already feels betrayed by her entanglement with Drew. If he learns Willow is manipulating situations behind his back, their marriage could crumble for good. And Carly? She will never forgive Willow for aligning herself with Drew's shadowy methods. Britt. Her comeback is destined to dominate the hospital canvas. Expect emotional reunions, fiery confrontations, and shocking reveals about where she's been. But most importantly, her presence reignites the Jason/Britt fandom flame, a pairing that fans have begged the writers to revisit. Final take. Today's shocking developments prove one thing. General Hospital knows how to deliver drama that keeps fans glued to their screens. Willow's fall from grace shakes the Corinthos family to its core. Britt's miraculous return breathes new life into storylines thought long dead. Both stories intertwine at the center of Port Charles, promising betrayal, redemption, heartbreak, and hope in equal measure. And if this is just the beginning of September sweeps, then fans better buckle up. Because the ride is about to get wild. Recap September 11th. Liesl faints seeing Britt, Michael fakes it and Anna interrogates. General Hospital recaps for Thursday, September 11th reveal interrogations, fake sexing an alibi, and a mother fainting at the sight of her not-so-dead daughter. Anna Devane, Finola Hughes, interrogates Curtis Ashford, Donnell Turner, Michael Corinthos, Rory Gibson, fakes sex for an alibi, and Liesl Albrecht, Kathleen Gotti, faints at the sight of Britt Westbourne, Kelly Thibault. Anna interrogates Curtis. Anna welcomed Curtis and Martin Gray, Michael E. Knight, into her office, where the attorney advised his client to keep his responses concise. Make sure to check out our weekly GH spoilers here. Anna warned that immediately becoming defensive wouldn't reflect well, but Curtis reminded her of his past as a cop and his intention to safeguard his rights. As the questioning commenced, Anna probed Curtis about his troubled relationship with the victim. He recounted their fallout at Aurora when Drew Kane, Cameron Matheson, failed to uphold his commitments and was ousted from the company. She questioned Curtis about his recent allegations against the congressman for misusing his authority to target his aunt Stella Henry, Vernee Watson, asking if he was angry enough to kill. Anna says Curtis' alibi isn't great. Curtis detailed his movements on the night of Drew's shooting, stating he went from Alexis Davis's, Nancy Lee Grahn, house to the Savoy, which was a truthful statement. But he conceded that no one could confirm his presence at the club since he entered through the back and went directly to his office. He mentioned that he later met his ex-wife, Jordan Ashford, Tanisha Harper, for drinks at the Brown Dog Bar, which she would be able to verify. But Anna pointed out that during the shooting's time frame, Curtis was indeed at the club, making his alibi less than solid, telling him it wasn't great. Obviously, Anna wasn't able to remove Curtis from the list of persons of interest in the shooting of the corrupt congressman. Trina checked in on her mother. Trina Robinson, Tabiana Ali, paid a visit to her mother Portia Robinson's, Brooke Kerr, office at the hospital to see how she was doing. Inquiring about the blackmail situation, Trina expressed her concern about whether anyone else had evidence of her actions. Portia advised her daughter to steer clear of the mess, but Trina was anxious about the potential fallout if Drew's proof surfaced. She wished for the blackmail to cease, yet Portia confessed that it likely wouldn't, although she no longer felt anxious about it. She was determined not to live in fear and was prepared to face any repercussions. Feeling relieved, Trina hugged her mother. Curtis checks in with Portia. Later, Curtis arrived to inform Portia about his interrogation, and to reassure her that she didn't appear to be the primary suspect, even though he was still a person of interest. However, he also pointed out that if anyone found out about their breakup due to Drew, it could provide a stronger motive for both of them. Curtis proposed that until they were out of danger, they should pretend to be a happy couple, to avoid coming under suspicion. He inquired if she was comfortable with that, and Portia didn't seem particularly excited about the suggestion, likely remembering her cheating with Isaiah Gannon, Andy Wilson. Lucas grilled Carly about threatening Drew. Carly Spencer, Laura Wright, made her way to the hospital to see Drew, and Elizabeth Weber, Rebecca Herbst, hesitantly provided her with his room number. Lucas Jones, Van Hansis, stopped his sister to inquire who else was aware of her threat against Drew's life. She felt irritated with Liz, who had indeed overheard the threat but maintained that Lucas was the only one she confided in. Carly openly admitted to threatening Drew, yet she firmly stated that she did not shoot him. Lucas believed her, but he also suggested that visiting Drew could give the police the wrong impression. Nevertheless, Carly was determined and would not be swayed. Lucas apologized to Elizabeth. Later on, Lucas expressed his regrets to Liz regarding Carly's severity, and the nurse presumed that Drew would inform the police about what she had heard. Liz then reassured Lucas that she would ensure the authorities were aware that Drew had provoked Carly into making the threat. Lucas merely wished that Carly wouldn't face arrest, and then he added that he somewhat hoped no one would end up in trouble. Liz was shocked that he would want the shooter to evade justice, but Lucas dismissed her concerns. Drew has pushed many individuals too far, he stated. It may sound harsh, but I believe the guy brought this upon himself. Willow was overjoyed to open his eyes and see Willow Tate, Caitlin McMullen, in his room, cheerfully telling her that he felt so much better now that she was by his side. She inquired about his memories of the shooting, and Drew shared the events leading up to it, emphasizing he took her ring out of the safe since she was returning to him. Willow pointed out that he owed his life to Tracy, and he was taken aback to discover that his aunt had rescued him. "I'm not alive because of Tracy," he replied with a smirk. "I survived because I have too much to live for. I had to pull through. To be with you and the kids." Willow managed to force a strained smile onto her face. Willow began updating Drew about Scout when Carly came in. While Willow was filling Drew in on Scout, Carly burst in, unable to hold back her sarcasm about their reunion before getting to the crux of the matter. She told Drew that Scout Kane, Cosette Abinante, had once again escaped from camp to head to the Courtemains. Willow reassured a worried Drew that the young girl was safe, and Carly pressed him to allow Scout to be with her family during his recovery. Drew stood firm, asserting that Scout should be with Willow. "Perhaps you should focus on your own child instead of mine," Drew snapped. "Because if Michael hasn't been charged for my shooting yet, he will be. And it will be soon." Carly told Drew if she wanted him dead, he would be. Carly asserted that Michael was innocent of any shooting and accused Drew of merely wanting him out of the picture so that Willow could reclaim her children. She pointed out many people had motives to want him dead, prompting Drew to counter her claim, questioning whether her certainty in Michael's innocence stemmed from her own guilt in shooting him. "Drew, if I truly wanted you dead," she retorted, "you would already be gone." Frustrated, Carly expressed her disappointment, stating she had hoped Drew would act in Scout's best interest, but it was evident he was lost. "And just so you know," she directed at Willow as she left, "you are too." Willow continued talking to Drew. Once more alone, Willow pondered whether Drew would inform the police about Carly's threat. However, he claimed that in his view, Michael shot him, adding, "Even if he didn't, it benefits us for him to be blamed for it." Willow was confused about how he intended to frame Michael since he had already told the police he didn't see who shot him. "Well, that's the nature of traumatic memories," Drew said with a twisted smile. "They can come rushing back, at any time." Willow worried the shooter would return, but Drew said once Michael was imprisoned, she would regain her children, and they could be a family once more. She consented to the plan. Dante caught off guard. Dante Falconeri, Dominic Zamprogna, knocked on Jacinda Bracken's, Paige Herschel, door at the Metro Court to ask her some questions, and she hesitantly let him in. Dante frowned when he saw Michael come out of the bathroom without a shirt after getting dressed. Michael told Jacinda that the detective is his brother. When informed that Michael had named her as his alibi, she agreed to answer any questions. She then explained that they had met up, had a drink, and then returned to her room from the bar. Dante pointed out that Michael hadn't included that detail in his statement and requested a moment alone with his brother. Michael fakes sex for an alibi. Michael expressed regret for not mentioning that detail, but Dante interrupted him, doubting everything and accusing him of hiring the escort for an alibi. He pressed his brother for the truth, but a phone call interrupted him, forcing him to leave quickly. Left alone, Michael thanked Jacinda for supporting his account, and she laughed, saying they hardly had time to set up their meeting before Dante showed up. She inquired if Michael had any scars or tattoos she should know about for future questions. She also pointed out that the alibi protected both of them, and they agreed to keep collaborating. She was worried because Drew had paid her to leave the country. Nina meets with Lulu. Nina Reeves, Cynthia Watrose, visited Lulu Spencer, Alexa Havens, to inform her that Jack Brennan, Chris L. McKenna, asked about Charlotte Cassadine, Bluesy Burke, visiting Valentine Cassadine, James Patrick Stewart, in prison. Upset, Lulu questioned if Jack wanted Nina to speak to Charlotte directly, but Nina clarified that was not the case, and she would never do that to Lulu. Lulu was grateful for this, and the two women decided to move past their previous conflicts. Lightly mentioning she didn't want to spoil the moment, Nina encouraged Lulu to think about allowing Charlotte to see her father. Nina continued to explain how Valentine was her only parent during Lulu's coma, although she continued trying to be a mother figure, having been her stepmother. Nina explains her reasoning to Lulu questioned why she would consider that, while Nina contended that allowing Charlotte to meet Valentine would make her a hero in her daughter's eyes and could help establish some limits. Lulu was not thrilled about the idea of Charlotte reuniting with her father, but Nina pointed out every time she had talked to Charlotte, her daughter expressed a longing for her dad. As Lulu came to understand that Charlotte never mentioned Valentine to her, Nina proposed that she could earn significant favor with Charlotte by facilitating this meeting. Oh where has my little dog gone? Albrecht was thrilled to walk into Bad Gen Cafe and spot Outback, along with Rocco Falconeri, Finn Carr, and Charlotte. She greeted the beagle with exuberant petting and played with his ears. Liesel also complimented Charlotte on how she'd become a lovely young lady, the two knowing each other from when Valentine and Nina were married. As she placed her order, Rocco urged Charlotte to keep quiet about this encounter to his mother, as she was not supportive of his desire to learn more about Britt. Charlotte completely understood, given her mother's stance on her father, and assured him that she would remain silent. Suddenly, Outback dashed out of the cafe, prompting the teens to run after him. Rocco returned from chasing Outback with a cut on his head. Albrecht stepped up to help. Rocco came back with a gash on his head after colliding with a tree, and stated that Charlotte was still pursuing the dog. He requested Albrecht to handle the situation herself, but the doctor concluded that Rocco required stitches. Rocco phoned his mother to inform her of the incident, and Lulu responded that she would meet him at the hospital. She asked Nina to come with her to serve as a buffer between herself and her Aunt Liesel. Nina agreed, and the two headed out to GH to meet Liesel and Rocco there. Britt and Jason Port Charles bound. On the journey back to Port Charles, Britt stirred awake after napping on Jason Morgan's, Steve Burton, shoulder for several hours. After exchanging some witty remarks, Jason wanted more information on what she was doing in Croatia. Britt attempted to assert that she was involved in a cold fusion project and that it was merely a standard job, but Jason countered that nothing about it seemed ordinary. He emphasized that she clearly wished to escape before the WSB showed up. Britt contended that she simply wanted to avoid getting entangled in Pascal's, Mark Forget, chaos. That included the kidnapping of WSB agents and similar issues. Jason continued to press her, eager to find out who she was working for. Britt kept stonewalling Jason. Britt kept insisting that she was only working for Pascal, but Jason didn't believe her and warned that the WSB wouldn't either. He told her to reach out if she needed assistance. Britt again mentioned that his main focus was always Carly and that she couldn't truly depend on him. Jason maintained that he just wanted to be a friend. Well, you're not very good at it, she complained. Britt kept arguing with Jason. When he inquired about her future plans, Britt Britt reminded him that she didn't want or need his help. He pointed out that he had experience coming back from the dead, which can be quite complicated. Discussing how many people would want to know she was alive, Jason confessed that he had missed her. After a tense moment, Britt quickly changed the topic, asking him for cab fare. He gave her a bundle of cash, and she assured him she would pay him back. As the plane started to descend, Jason emphasized to Britt that whatever she was concealing, she didn't need to keep it from him. Carly gives Anna a heads-up about her threats to Drew. Carly walked into Anna's office to say that she had threatened to kill Drew the night he was shot. The police commissioner asked if she needed a lawyer, but Carly maintained that she didn't actually shoot him. She knew Drew would inform her about the threat, so she wanted to address it first. She reminded Anna that she had an alibi, Jack. Anna replied that Brennan was one of the best liars she knew and cautioned Carly not to trust him either. Carly insisted that they had an understanding and Jack would never lie to her. Just as Jason entered the doorway, Liesl faints at the sight of Britt. Dante and Lulu encountered Rocco at the hospital when he came in with Albrecht, who was taken aback to see Nina with Lulu. Lucas called Rocco in for stitches, and the teenager urged his parents not to be angry with Albrecht. Dante actually expressed gratitude to Liesl for caring for their son. Outside, Britt approached the doors and prepared herself before they opened, and she walked in, recognizing the familiar surroundings. Liz halted in her tracks, her eyes widening as she stuttered, "Oh my God, Britt." When her name was mentioned, Albrecht turned around, her jaw dropping at the sight of her daughter. Nina and Dante were also taken aback as Lulu commented that they thought she was dead. "Well, believe it or not, Lulu," Britt replied, "I'm back." Overwhelmed, Albrecht fainted into Nina's arms.